Welcome to the Age of New Beginnings. And hi, I'm Elle. And today we're with Nicole Martin. Hi. Now, Nicole Martin, she came by because she's actually in a scene in a film with the streets today.
Yes.
And, but the show is about doing your passion.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll talk about the movie, but I wanted to make sure we touched on your passion.
Yes.
You've gone through a lot. And in doing so, you started creating an event, which is coming up in March. Can you tell us about what you've gone through? And
Dr. Cameron Najat is a pioneer and leading practitioner in the field of laparoscopic surgery.
Dr. Cameron Najat, endometriosis expert and founder of the Worldwide EndoMarch March.
Today is a long-awaited and amazing day because today is the day we decide to take a stand together against endometriosis.
Back in 2015, I was diagnosed with endometriosis. And when the doctor told me I was diagnosed, I had no clue what it was, but heard how common it was. 1 in 10 has endometriosis.
Endometriosis is a condition where tissue, similar to the lining in your uterus, grows in other areas of your body. If you are a woman, your reproductive system includes the vagina, uterus, fallopian tubes, and ovaries. During a normal menstrual cycle, your ovaries make chemicals called hormones, which signal the lining of your uterus to thicken. The lining, called the endometrium, builds up to prepare to receive a fertilized egg. If the egg isn't fertilized, the uterus sheds the lining through your vagina. This monthly bleeding is called your menstrual period. If you have endometriosis, the lining-type tissue grows outside your uterus for reasons that aren't clear. The misplaced tissue responds to the hormones just like it would if it were inside your uterus. The tissue continues to thicken, then sheds and bleeds with every menstrual cycle. However, the blood and tissue that are shed outside the uterus have no way to leave your body. The trapped endometrial flow can irritate the surrounding area, causing inflammation and pain. Bands of scar tissue, called adhesions, may form, sticking one organ to another or causing your fallopian tubes to close. This can affect your fertility, which is the ability to become pregnant. Endometriosis can form endometriomas, also known as chocolate cysts. These cysts are fluid-filled sacs on your ovaries that can affect fertility. Endometriosis may also result in abnormal bleeding. The most common sites for endometriosis are the ovaries, fallopian tubes, the outside of your uterus, the supporting structures around your uterus, and the lining of your pelvis called the peritoneum. Other sites include your bladder, rectum, and intestines.
so what really surprised me with that is you were saying that it's not something you can even, you can't find.
No, it has to be
An
surgery.
X-ray or a sonogram.
Yeah.
Now, how crazy is that? How many women are going through different feelings and there's no, hey doctor, can you just do some blood work? Or
Exactly. So it takes an average 7 to 10 years to be diagnosed with endometriosis. Just think about the countless doctor's appointments, medication, testing, going to this specialist, going to that specialist. think it's all in your head and you're losing it.
But what were you experiencing knowing that something was off?
I knew something was going on because, like I said, there's no way that you should experience that bad of a pain. You know, there's no reason why you should be laying on the floor in a fetal position. There's no way where you feel like you're just crying and you just want to give up because you're in so much pain and you just wish you weren't here.
If you have endometriosis, you may have one or more of these symptoms. Chronic, usually worsening central pelvic pain. Pain before or during your period. Pain during sex felt deep within your pelvis. Painful urination during your period. Painful bowel movements during your period. Abnormal bleeding. Diarrhea, constipation, or nausea. And difficulty getting pregnant, called infertility.
You know, that's not normal.
No.
That's not a normal period.
You know, discomfort, bloating, certain things,
Yes.
but to be excruciating
Growing up,
pain.
it just messes everything up.
So those were your signs that
Yes.
something wasn't...
And my thing was, the doctor always said, because I've always had issues with cysts on my ovaries.
Okay.
So they were just saying that, you know, you just had a really large cyst and it burst. And I had surgery. Well, it started with my second C-section.
Mm-hmm.
They took my daughter out and they found a mass on my stomach. And then for like a year was tested because they didn't know exactly what it was.
Right.
And then I found a general surgeon that was able just to cut me open. That came back, so it was a big mass. Came back, it was endometriosis. So when the doctor tells me endometriosis, I'm like, what?
Right,
You know?
right.
And then when I heard how common it was,
Right.
and what was even more is that nobody knew what endometriosis was. Like when I say endometriosis to people are like, what is that?
Yeah.
You know? So I felt very alone. I felt like it was all in my head. I felt like nobody knew what I was going through. I was making it up. And I started reaching out to support groups.
Kimberly Perry is on a mission. She wants women with endometriosis to know that they're not alone.
You can have one day where you feel really good, actually, and you're like, great, I can get a lot done, whatever, and you go to bed and wake up the next morning and you feel horrible.
Endometriosis is a condition where tissue similar to the lining of the uterus is found elsewhere in the body.
Right.
And I started seeing these other girls going through what I was going through. It was like we were all in the same body.
Right.
You know, we would experience the
Similar.
same thing.
Right.
And it was like, wow, that's really not in my head. You know, like the things that I would say,
Right.
they are saying.
It is estimated that 7 out of 10 ladies suffering from endometriosis contend with infertility problems. These, the doctors say, affect over 40% relationships on the continent. They also point out that some Africans blame endometriosis on factors such as witchcraft. An expert in the area of female infertility advised young women with this condition to seek help once they noticed it.
I started following the Worldwide EndoMarch about 5 years ago because they were doing it in DC, and I wanted to take a trip down to DC to, you know, go support them.
So they do it in different states?
Yeah, around the world.
Il 28 marzo 2015 e siamo in Piazza del Popolo, dove si sta svolgendo a Roma, insieme ad altre 52 capitali nel mondo, la marcia mondiale sull'endometriosi. L'endometriosi è una malattia ancora...
Wow.
Yes.
The marches.
Yes, the headquarters is out of California.
Okay.
Barbara Page is the co-founder. She's actually the one that reached out to me this past January.
Oh, okay.
And we got to talking, and, you know, and then she knew that I was having surgery in February, and I was meeting with Dr. Farnazar, which was one of the brothers that started this whole organization.
I genuinely love my patients, and I like to help them. And when they get to me, usually they have been practically everywhere else. Essentially, our practice is devoted to the reproductive endocrinology and infertility, and minimally invasive and robotic surgery for the benign diseases, including endometriosis of the bowel, bladder, ureter, diaphragm.
There's 3 different brothers, one in California, one in Georgia, and one in Manhattan.
Yes. And so I jumped on board. Yes, of course, I want to be involved. I want to help other people, you know?
Sure.
And I started with the EndoMarch. We had it this past March at Winthrop. Met wonderful, wonderful women. And their stories broke my heart. You know, the one girl I told you about, Tiffany, she had had about 12 surgeries. And just recently she's going through things too now, you know?
Right.
It's just about us all coming together now and being there for one each other, and eventually come closer to hopefully better treatment options and maybe hopefully a cure.
Now, you made a choice to do things in a more natural and way of healing, right?
Yes.
And so what was some decisions you made?
Well, for one, I stopped taking all my medications.
Okay.
Your doctor may recommend treatment options from the following categories. Pain management medications, such as aspirin, acetaminophen, or nonsteroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, also known as NSAIDs, provide relief from pain. Hormone therapy, such as birth control pills, can prevent monthly endometrial buildup and bleeding.
That's a big move. That's a strong step.
I mean, they had me on 22 pills a day.
That's insane.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like, just think about it. You're taking one pill for this.
Right.
But what is it doing to the other stuff?
Sure.
You know, and with endometriosis, that's what a lot of doctors don't get. You can go to this specialist, that specialist, and you can complain about your back, like, because, like, I need another back surgery. And I just had one last year, and they're telling me I need another one.
So
But
what are you feeling with your back?
I feel a lot of lower back pain.
Lower back pain. Okay. So you feel like
And
it's
sciatica.
pressure?
Yeah, and like sciatica pain.
So what are they going to do with that?
They were just going to go back in.
Yeah.
And they were talking about doing a fusion this time around. But I tried explaining to my orthopedic surgeon, I'm like, endometriosis does attack your sciatica. It attacks your nerves. It's a whole body disease. And it's like when you tell the doctors that, they just look at you like you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
So it kind of gets to that frustrating part where you're like, you just walk out of that doctor's office and you're like, you know what, this is my life. This is how it's going to be. I'm just going to suck it up and just, I'll fight for others.
Well, it's important to be your own advocate.
Yes.
And a lot of doctors, they're practicing. And that's kind of like that thing where they're, from what they know, they're trying to support you along the way.
Yes.
But a lot of doctors don't know.
Yeah.
And you know, unless you're experiencing it, you don't realize how painful, how you go through bloating. It affects you more at a certain time.
During ovulation period.
Yeah.
But it just like certain foods, you know,
Set it off.
can set it off. You could be skinny 1 minute and then you look like you're 8 months pregnant the next. You know, it just,
right.
You know, then I'm constantly with constipation and diarrhea.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it's
Your
not,
whole
it's
system.
not fun. It's not fun, you know. And who wants painful sex?
No.
Sex is supposed to be enjoyable.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, so it's just, it just really, it sucks, you know, and it just breaks my heart when I hear everyone else's story. I have to hear, you know, that these girls go to the hospital because they're in so much pain.
You may need a surgical procedure to treat the tissue causing pain or bleeding. Examples of such procedures include removal or destruction of endometrial tissue, removal of adhesions and scar tissue, removal or drainage of cysts, removal or destruction of nerve fibers that transmit pain, removal of your uterus, called a hysterectomy, or removal of your ovaries, called an oophorectomy.
Right.
And that,
They
you
get
know,
no answers,
but they're
like, well-
being seeked as like the drug users, you know? So it's like they feel like they're getting nowhere. They don't have a support group, you know, some are alone. They're getting nowhere with doctors. And they can't live this life anymore, so they end up taking their life, you know?
Oh my God, that's
And it just breaks my
horrific
heart.
to
So that's
think
why
that-
it's like I jumped aboard with the whole EndoMarch and became president of the New York City and Long Island.
fantastic.
And it's more just to help these girls.
Now that's March 30th, the
Yes.
last Saturday of the month
Yes.
of March 2019.
Correct.
And in this march, you can march for the cause, have more of an understanding.
Yes,
Everybody's
we-
going to meet up at the YMCA in
Yes.
Manhattan.
Yes, because what
Prior
we usually
to?
do is like you have the doctors there, guest speakers, the lectures, you know, we also have the patients, because it's very important. We want to hear the patients,
Yeah.
you know.
Sure.
Um,
And I think it's important to be heard.
yes. Then we'll go do our march in Central Park, which is beautiful there.
Yeah, it is.
And then we'll have, you know, food, vendors, you know.
So you're looking for more vendors and more sponsors.
Yes.
Okay, so if anybody wants to get on board, how do they find you and how do they find
You can
this?
find me on Facebook, on New York City EndoMarch, Instagram too, New York City EndoMarch.
Now, we were talking about holistic ways. You
Yes.
got off your meds, and so what are you doing now?
Actually, right now,
Yeah.
I'm not really doing anything.
Okay. Well, we talked about earlier. I do hypnosynergistic
Yes,
work.
we do.
Yes. And when you're going through this, it's something that affects your system. You talk about your back. That has to do with things of the past.
Yes.
I know you're into spirituality, you're into
Yes.
faith, and to numbers, and to signs, and all kinds of beautiful things in that respect. But the more you get into spirituality, you understand chakras. This is a connection to all that is, your inner knowing, your expressor. It means like you're not really expressing yourself, you're holding yourself back.
Yeah.
Your soul essence, how I feel about myself, my personal passion, my security, and connecting to the earth. So even if you trip, depending on which leg it is what's going on in your inner mind from an old experience. So life is really tremendously cause and effect. And the more you get you, like you had said, you can't always get anybody else.
Yeah.
But the more we get us, the more everything starts making sense. So the process I would go through, because you said you were feeling pain on this side.
It's my whole left side between nerve damage.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of nerve damage. My back pain's left. Over here, just when they had the surgery, I was complaining of my left side with the pelvic pain, and they found more endo.
Right.
It just seems my whole left side is just...
So that the whole feminine aspect, energetically, that's what that would be. And there's something that's coming up from the past. And there's a process that I would love to take you on a journey. And I'm hearing like age 8. I mean, anything that popped into your mind that might have happened when you were 8? Any changes, any moving?
I mean, I was a crazy kid.
Yeah.
Like, jumping off ramps with bikes, being a stunt devil. So there's a possibility I could have done something, but...
We'll go back and we'll figure it out. You know what, it's funny? Because you're just saying you were a daredevil when you were a child, and today you were a daredevil too. You thought that too.
That's my life.
I mean, she came to do the streets, and I mean, it's one thing to be an actress for the first time.
Yes.
But there's another thing to be an actress and say, hello, here I am, baby. And I think that's incredible to feel that comfortable with yourself, to really...
Hey.
Yeah.
Why not?
That's beautiful. Yeah.
You got to be in love with yourself.
You do. To living life and living it fully.
No.
For you. No.
I mean, the past year I have learned to start living my life for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've been living my life so much for other people.
That's a classic woman thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, besides my kids,
Yeah.
I need to start taking care of myself and
doing things
doing
that make
my
you happy.
needs. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, it is really important to find your happy place, which is what Age of New Beginnings is. Whatever the past was, God bless, but I'm living from this point on.
Exactly.
But what really shifted your life is going through this health issue and this process. So most people don't even know what it is. So if you can share a little bit about...
See, for me, the past 3 years, it's been between my health, not being able to work. I went through a big depression over that because I was always about supporting myself.
Right.
A few deaths happened that made me realize even more that life's too short.
Right.
And it's like, you know what? Yeah, all these things are happening negative, but I gotta sit here and turn my life around and make it for the better. Because we're only here for a short term. And I don't want to sit here and live with regrets.
No.
I lived with regrets already, and I'm not gonna do that no more.
And we're an example for our kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You want to live your life to your fullest.
So it's like a 50-50 shot
Yes.
to be able to have kids, which is terrifying for some women.
By 2020, to have endometriosis taught in the schools.
Fantastic.
Because for something that's it's so important. Like if I knew the symptoms of endometriosis back like when I was in middle school or high school, I would have been able to go to my gynecologist and be like, no, you gotta check me out.
Right.
Because, I have all these symptoms that's on this thing, and that's not normal.
I think it's wild and amazing and how you described that when they open you up and what it looks like.
Yeah.
You were saying that it's kind of like a coating that looks like little sparkles, like little...
chocolate spots.
Yeah. And just how it spreads and how it affects different areas. So again, if you are going through any of the symptoms that Nicole had mentioned, and you want to look up for more information, where do they look again?
You can go on Facebook to EndoMarch New York City, or Instagram EndoMarch New York City.
Now the other thing I thought was interesting is if a woman has it, there's a good chance our child could have it, or our parents, or you said
Yes, they said it's common
Mm-hmm.
for like a mother to pass on to her daughter
Or a
an
sister.
aunt or something, or a sister.
Right, right. You know, in holistic, we have a thing called energetic cords.
Okay.
And those energetic cords, in other words, whenever something happens, it's a pattern on what we're feeling. You know, so insecurities or how I feel about myself can affect our immune system. You know, which also can affect what we're feeling in here.
Yes.
You know, it's like if you ever you hear about a Jewish person, they always talk about guilt, you know, and they're prone to digestive issues. You know, an Italian person, they're prone to heart. You know, you're killing me here. You know?
That's true.
So it's how you view things. So I can't wait for us to take the time and really go back in time, because we only have a short period of time.
Yes.
And there's just so much on so many levels I would love to connect with you. And I know I partner up co-hosting with Eddie Rocky Rivera, and he's going to want to ask you some questions about the movie and your experience with that and working with him and how you found him and all that other crazy, fun, fabulous stuff.
Okay.
Well, we're back with the Age of New Beginnings. I'm Eddie Rocky Rivera. Today, you and I got to film.
Yes.
And we had a very good time filming. Now, describe, right when you walk in the door, how you feel for your first time as being an actress.
When I first got here,
Mhm.
I was a little nervous.
Right.
But obviously we spoke, so you
Right.
made me really comfortable.
Right.
And honestly, it just felt very natural.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, I actually made myself more nervous than anxiety.
And
Like
you
you were
didn't need
speaking
to.
last night,
You didn't need to.
and I didn't need to.
Right.
Now it's like, I feel like I'm right at home.
Because I had explained to you that the Streets family is a family.
Yes.
So basically what we do is we try to make everybody comfortable, so when everybody hits the set, they feel good. They're like, oh man, this is great, you know, having a good time and stuff like that, you know. So that's why I always explain the scene to you guys, of course, before we go into it.
Yeah.
And we always rehearse. Now, there's no turning on cameras unless we rehearse it and we're like, okay, we feel good, let's do it. You understand? So that's the main thing with me is that I want the actors always to feel that they're comfortable and that they're enjoying themselves and having a good time.
I definitely did.
And I explained to you guys the scene how it was going to be.
Yes.
And actually, if you would have got there, Ash, it would have been a little different, the scene.
Yeah.
But the scene turned out to be perfect. All right. So Nicole, explain to me about your scene today. What was your scene? Without giving away, you know, the movie or anything like that, but what you were doing. How you was dressed.
I was in nice lingerie.
Right.
Maybe showing a little
Right.
the girls.
Right.
Nice sexy heels, being very, you know, sexy, what I do best.
Right, there you go. So, for you to do that the first time that you ever really did acting,
Yes.
okay, you seemed like you were very comfortable with.
I am. Because I believe everyone should be naked, you know?
Yeah. But it was really naked, okay. And what else do you feel when you're on set? How do you feel? I know you said you had a little bit of things with your natural stuff.
Before we started rehearsing or
Right.
even shooting, I was nervous.
Right.
But once we started rehearsing,
Right.
it was just so natural.
Right.
It was just, everything went away.
Okay, I have a great question for you. Richard Kern,
Yes.
who is a director with me as well. Explain what your experience was with Richard Kern.
It was awesome. He's an awesome guy.
Mm-hmm.
He makes me laugh.
He's a funny guy, right?
And, okay.
And basically, I was the one who actually started him where he started to do co-directing, then he started to actually do directing and stuff like that, you know. So we go back now, I would say, about what? A year, 2 years now, maybe, me and Richie? About like 2 years. And the good thing I like about him is that when we're on set, And we have a lot of people. There's no playing around. Rich don't give a shit. We gonna hear yell.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody shut up, quiet on the set. Business has to get done. And that's why I like working with certain
He's
people.
all about getting it done too.
Exactly. And you know, it's funny that you say that because that's the same thing Bella says about him all the time. He's all about being serious and getting his work done and everything, you know? So I'm glad that you enjoyed yourself while you was on set. You felt comfortable. You wasn't put on the spot at really in no time.
No.
We actually, like I said, we went through the scene and we did everything that we had to do. And like I said, unfortunately, Ashley couldn't make it, but you're able to go back and tell her, you know, about your experience.
Exactly.
Stuff, you know. Now, what did you think about Elle? Elle has her own type of personality, where everything she loves to do is fun.
That's me.
Positive.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
It's not at all.
Because actually, that's the way that you should really live life. Because tomorrow's never promised.
Exactly.
You know, so she's awesome. She always does a great job. She's an actress, and
I know, just like hanging out here all day. I feel like I'm at home.
Yeah, right. It's
like I don't want to go home. I have to go home. I got the fireplace.
You got the fireplace over here. You're just feeling great, relaxed. Yeah. So, like I said, Elle does a lot for us. She works really hard with us. She makes sure that with the actors and everything, she goes with the food. Her and Anthony, they're awesome. You know, they've been great to us from the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm glad that you had a good time, that you enjoyed yourself and everything.